Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Aligned Almost. I'm B.
And I'm Denise.
And today we're talking about daddy issues.
That's right.
Just kidding. That's part of it. But really, the topic today, we are talking about how our childhood wounding can keep us stuck in loops, which inherently keeps us out of alignment.
Right. It can keep you in relationships and situations that just continue to repeat themselves until you really take the time to bring conscious awareness to things that you might not even be aware of. And this came about because of some stuff that we're facing in real time. And we, of course, we're voice noting. As you know, if you've listened to previous episodes, we voice note all day, every day. And we come up with some big revelations in those. So we always share those with each other in real time. And we thought that this one was very important to share because I think it's something that a lot of us, if not, I would say most of us have.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we contracted our parents, and that's one of the things that I try to remind myself of. And that's not to say that they like you can be angry, but eventually you need to move on and integrate the lesson, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think. That
you have to feel all the feelings in order to process the experience, to process the trauma. But if you stay in that state of just feeling the feelings, like you can get stuck there too, and then you're not really progressing either.
Right. Yeah. And I think that for many of us, those relationships will play out in our adulthood in romantic relationships more than anything. Of course, in friendships, but I think right now the focus is going to be romantic relationships because that's where we've seen it the most. And I didn't even realize that I was dealing with this. And I told her, like, I just had this massive revelation that I was replaying the same scenario that I had with my last interaction with my dad in these men. And she's like, yes, you manifested this. And I'm like, I did. And it's not what I wanted. Of course, I want to be swept off my feet and treated well. But I think that ultimately I had that light bulb moment. And now I know. I'm like, holy shit, I think I'm not over it, but I think I realized that that's what I needed to gain in order to truly move forward and stop blaming myself. Because there's always things that you could have done better. And on both sides, you're going to think, oh, I could, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome. At the end of the day, regardless. So I don't know if you've had a similar experience on your end as well.
No, I've absolutely had a similar experience. I had difficult relationships with both my biological dad, who has passed, and my stepdad. And I don't know, this was probably a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I was going through therapy, and I realized that there was something that my stepdad had said to me when I was a teenager that I still held resentment about. And so I went to him to try and talk about it and be like, hey, like, essentially I just needed to, like, yeah, that was fucked up. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I care about you. I love you. Like, let's move on, right? But that's not what we get. So it was actually kind of stupid. The response I got was, oh yeah, that sounds like something I would say, but I don't remember saying it, so I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm like, you were almost there. Like, you're literally like, sounds like something I'd say. I'm like, cool. So it sounds like you'd say something fucked up, but it's fine. And anyways, I realized it's like this like lack of accountability and level of gaslighting that I received from him in that moment, but then I could also just kind of see throughout my childhood and the time he's been in my life, that I manifested in my romantic relationships. So I would go into relationships with men who couldn't be honest, who would gaslight me, who would do the whole, like, I'm gonna, like, joke. I'm gonna pose it as a joke, but really, I'm, like, chipping away at your self-esteem and your confidence. And then, when I got to the point where I could see it, right, and confront them and be like, hey, why are you doing this? That's kind of dumb and fucked up, right? And then they're like, oh, I'm not doing that. Or like, just like lack of accountability and everything. And like, it was very much this cycle that just kept repeating with different romantic partners and different people in my life. And it's like, yeah, like I'm trying to recreate that situation. There's a part of me that wants to recreate that situation so that I will get the accountability. But what that's doing is you're manifesting the person who's like fucking up in the first place, right?
Right.
In order to get that thing. And it's like, it's so hard, but you really have to see it for what it is and be like, this is fucked up. This is wrong. I'm never going to get what I want or need from them. I probably shouldn't have them in my life. And like move on and figure out, you know, the healing process and how that looks for you from there. Because like that's the only way you can kind of move forward and stop repeating that cycle.
Right. And I think the big thing is releasing the control, because we all want control to some extent, and we want to change the narrative. And so I will say too that if you are relationship hopping, as I've notoriously done, you are probably still trying to figure out what that wound is. Like, if you're constantly finding yourself like, oh my gosh, I'm alone, I need to find somebody else, there's something in you that you're not ready to face, or you're afraid to face. And it is scary, because you're unlearning something that you don't even realize you've learned. Like, truly, that's it. And it's subconscious. And as I told you, there's this quote, what is it? Until you make the subconscious conscious, it'll control your life, and you'll call it fate. So you'll see like, oh my gosh, I always attract the same type of people. Why do I always get this shitty guys? Why do I always get this? There's a reason. And it's not because the universe is against you. Universe. I made up my own word. It's because you're being challenged to learn something. And that was similar to me. Like, for me, I knew that my dad had done something that a lot of people would consider unforgivable. And this happened when I was a teenager, but when I was in my late 20s, I confronted him about it because I really wanted to move forward. And he just said, I don't know what I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that was made up, and took zero accountability. And that was the last night I ever spoke to him. And that was I think 6 or 7 years ago at this point. And I thought I was over it. And I was married at the time, but in my dating life, I literally dated men that would lie to me and do the same thing. Like, I was like, just, okay, but if you are going to do this, you'll tell me, right? And they're like, yeah, sure. I'll tell you if I'm dating other people. I'll tell you if I'm seeing other people. And I knew that they were. Intuitively, I knew. And I just wanted them to tell me, because then I had some sort of control. And when they didn't, I felt like I was losing my shit. Like, I acted like a person I didn't want to act like. And this was in all the men, like, I would say, you know, all the men that I had, I guess, strong feelings for it. That was it. And when I had that revelation literally yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why it's so hard for me to get over them. It's not about the person. It's about the lesson that I was trying to learn. Like, I had to learn that sometimes people are not going to take accountability. And we hang on to the good. I like to hang on to the potential. Like, oh, but he was a good, like, you know, he had really good moments. He was thoughtful. He bought me a birthday cake and he sang me happy birthday. This was the most recent guy I dated. Like, that was so sweet. And like, you know, just because somebody does shitty things doesn't mean that everything about them is shitty. But you can't hang on to the little good glimmers of good and let what they've done bypass, right? And that's one of the things. Like, sometimes people do things that are unforgivable, and you just got to move on. And that was my biological father. He did things that were unforgivable, and I wanted to forgive him because that was my dad. And you know, I thought love should come unconditionally in both ways, and it didn't. It came with conditions from him, and ultimately the healthiest thing is to cut him out. And of course I will always miss him, and I'll always grieve him, and sometimes it'll come in waves. Sometimes I'm like, I'm over it, but that's different. So now I think that, like, that was a pivotal moment for me last night. I'm like, holy shit, now I know why I attracted the same man over and over, and why I wanted to wring them by the neck when they wouldn't tell me the truth. Truly, that was how it was rage filling. It really was. And I really felt like I was losing my mind. I'm like, just tell me. And I'm sure that on their end, they're like, whoa, she's crazy, because it was so much, you know, anger. And, you know, I'm explosive already. So I'm like,
you're a fire sign. It's okay.
I just want to throat chop some people and backhand them. But I know that that's not the way that, you know, it doesn't do anything. It's just a little short-term gratification.
Also, side note, birthday cake and singing you happy birthday, bare minimum. Bare minimum.
Nobody's ever done. No, I'm just kidding. You hang on to those little things, though, right? You're like, oh, but like, and it was a carrot cake, okay? And I love carrot cake. It took probably 2 seconds to put that together, but to me, it was
bare minimum.
Okay. Well, also, I like again, maybe what my dad did was the bare minimum too, and I'm over here like he was a good dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then, well, because, like, if you're not you, like, if you are raised in a way where a parent or caregiver presents you something and then they do the whole, I do all of this for
Oh my
you, this is
God.
so much whatever, and then, you know, you come out of it, you heal from it, and then you look at it and you're like, literally, I would do like 10 times that is like my bare minimum to
Yeah.
do so for somebody else. So it's like they set the bar so low for you, which is also why we repeat these cycles, right? And so, like, just because like they do something and they tell you that it's like nobody else is ever gonna do anything more
Yeah.
for you, like, first of all, that's bullshit. But like, bare minimum,
Right.
like, and like, also, you're a parent, like, you bring a human into this world, like, that's your responsibility. You made a choice
Right.
to do that, and you
Mm-hmm.
know this better than
Yeah.
me. Like, I'm not a parent, but
Yeah.
like, and you know what it's like to unconditionally love your kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like, your unconditional love for your kids is bare minimum for you to them,
Yeah,
right? So
right.
like, the fact that like a parent or caregiver couldn't operate in that same way, like, that's not our fault. Like,
Right.
that's not like, that shouldn't like lower our bar. Like, we know how deeply we love other people, and
Mm-hmm.
like, we deserve to have that in return.
Right. Yeah. You deserve to have the love that you are able to give, and the empathy and the understanding and the care. And I think that sometimes we find somebody and we think that if we show them all these things, they'll see it and they'll stay. And that again is wounding. And that was one of the things that I've had to learn. Like, no, it doesn't matter how much you show this person, like how much you're capable of. They'll just take it. The right people or the wrong person will just take advantage of it and see it as a way to continue to take more from you.
Yep.
And you'll be bending over backwards and you'll feel depleted. And you're like, wait, well, maybe I'm just not doing enough. Maybe I need to be more understanding and more flexible. And that's what I was doing. I mean, it was like the stuff that I put up with. I mean, I feel bad for myself in hindsight. Like, why did I think that that was okay? And I mean, that's how I know that I've like grown. And this was just last year. Like this time last year, I was, and you too, like I was dealing with behaviors that I look at now, like, you know, and not to get like super detailed, but I was seeing somebody and he was like, hey, I'm going to go snowboarding with this girl. We're not dating, but can you not call me? And I was like, okay, like, sure, like, wild. And what, like, anybody who has any level of like self-respect and love would have been like, why can't I call you? And he's like, oh, but I'm not going to date her. I mean, it means like, it's nothing. I just don't want her to ask questions, you know, and then it causes drama. And I'm like, okay, what?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, imagine, what would you say to anybody? Like, and nobody could have told me anything at that point because I was just like, no, it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
he's just, you know, he just wants to go snowboard and I don't know how to snowboard. Like, so sad.
It's like we lose our like common
Yeah.
sense almost. And like,
Yeah.
that's really what like the more manipulative, I said that weird, people do, is that they just like slowly but surely like chip away at your like self-confidence and your sense of self, and like your sense of listening to yourself, listening to your intuition, because by that point there's so many times where your intuition was like, hey, there's something off about this, and you go to them and you're like, hey, there's something off about this, and they're like, no, nothing's off, you're just crazy. And that happens so many times in so many different scenarios that eventually you're like, okay, maybe I am crazy, maybe this is fine, maybe it's fine. But like, you know, and then in hindsight we're like, literally, why would a girl have like, if they're not romantically involved, why would she have an issue with somebody calling it, right? But then in the moment you're just like, okay, like,
yeah,
you know, whatever. And like, for me, right, like what you were saying about like you can do all of these things. For my ex, like, I did so much. He was a meth addict. I paid for him to go to rehab to get clean, and like a nice rehab too. Like, because we tried to go to this like cheaper one, and like they didn't really look at him like a human, and I didn't like that. And I was like, that's not an environment to heal in. Like, let's go to this one that's like 10 grand more. And like I did that for him. I bought him a car. I paid for him to like further his education. I had my own house. Like, I did all these things. He got to pursue any hobby he wanted, right? And it was never enough. And,
Yeah,
like,
it was
I was
never.
still a problem. And, like, it's just, like, anything I did. And it's like, oh, well, like, I'm not, I wasn't working. I was still paying all of the bills.
Yeah.
But, like, the problem was I wasn't working. Okay, I got a job. I was fucking crushing it. It was great. It was amazing job. Still not enough. Still not the right thing. Like, and it's just like this never ending loop. And really what it boils down to with them is that they're not happy with themselves.
Right.
And, like, they're not on the path of self-reflection and, like, trying to heal their own wounds. So they just project them onto whoever, and usually in that situation it's projected onto, like, the closest person to them, which is, like, a romantic relationship, or they desire romantic relationship to, like, project onto them, and, like, subconsciously, but that's still what's happening. And but it is, like, it's this loop. Like, my biological dad growing up was very absent. He showed up for me financially, but was really not able to be physically or emotionally present in any way. And he was also an alcoholic. And so it's like I kept bringing these emotionally unavailable men into my life, and addicts who just kept repeating this same cycle that I found in relations with my dad and my stepdad. And it's like, until you can, like, take a step out of that and be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how did I end up here? Like, you won't, like, it's really hard to, like, it's hard to get out of that and to see the situation for what it is, and then to see how it's impacted your life almost every step of the way since.
Right. And it really takes, like, it takes that person being ready. And it's almost like a drug addiction, because I think when you're in the moment, it really takes, like, even just listening to people speak about their experiences, I think, because I heard this stuff before, but when I was in the thick of it, sometimes you're just not ready. Like, you're I can't, like, I don't want to face this. But I mean, it's scary, but honestly, you live such a better life when you do face it and you do realize, all right, what is really blocking me from having that healthy relationship? If I'm a good person, I mean well, I have all this love to give, why is it that I'm not finding love? Like, why am I so unlucky? And ultimately, and this is why I hate, and this is going to go into, like, a little bit of a tangent, but it all is going to tie back together, why I hate when people say the dating pool sucks, because the dating pool only sucks because of a lot of the people that are out there, like on dating apps and stuff, are just relationship hopping. Like, realistically, they're not trying to face themselves. They're like, oh no, I don't want to spend time alone. I'm lonely. I'm going to go on to the next person, on to the next person. It's just a wounding, right? We're all hiding from ourselves, essentially, because facing yourself is scary. You're going to, you have to just really see
Balls to the
something.
wall.
Yeah. And it's spending time alone, and it's all, there's also, like, of course, as humans, we crave intimacy and all that. And there's going to be a pause for that, but it's going to be so much better when you do have that. Because I remember there were so many times where I was laying next to the person that I was seeing before and, like, feeling so sad and depleted and just like, why am I sitting next, or, like, laying next to this person, and I still feel like I'm, like, not whole. Like, I'm just, like, I'm alone, and he's not fully seeing me, because he was never capable of the depth that I was capable of. And I was just trying for him to be, right. I kept pouring into a cup that was already, like, just not capable of holding the water that I was trying to give. And that was really hard. I was just breaking my own heart over and over, and he showed me, and I kept staying, hoping that the outcome would change. And that was, again, ties back to the daddy wounds. Like, it's like I was just replaying that scenario where this person was absent and lying and all of that good stuff, not quote unquote good stuff, but it's and again, it takes a little while, but when that light bulb really turns on, you're like, oh my gosh, this is what it takes. And there is no timeline, right? I mean, I'm 36, I've been married, I have kids. Even my ex-husband, that relationship wasn't as pivotal as far as, like, learning what a healthy relationship was as some of the ones that I've had since. And I think that's probably right because of the timing, because I stopped talking to my dad around the time I was married and got divorced, and then I entered the dating pool and started meeting these new people. So really, I mean, I think I mastered that lesson. So let's see what's next. And I really, truly say that as, like, I'm saying it to be funny, but also I really think that was the moment. That moment was what I needed to really wake up and be like, this is what you're never going to deal with. And I don't think I'm going to manifest the men that I've manifested before. And that's
No.
probably why it's very quiet in my romantic life right now.
That's good though.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you're not going to continue to manifest it or stay in that loop because you've like woken up to it. And so it's
Right.
like, you're not like, before you were subconsciously allowing yourself to continue that loop. Both of us, really. But now that we're aware of it, we're like, there's no way, there's no chance I'm going to put myself in that situation. I care about myself too fucking much, too damn much, to put myself in a situation like that again. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and because we've done that work, and like, when you see it, you can't unsee it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you were saying about pouring into a cup that can't hold like the water that you're giving, it's like a cup. Their cup is like filled with a bunch of holes, and like our cups have also had holes, but we've gone in and we've like put duct tape over them. We've patched the holes.
That, yeah.
We've, you know, and like, so that's why I think with them it felt like it was this never ending, like, because you're constantly pouring into them, but the water is just falling out of their cup, and they're never gonna feel fulfilled because they're not doing the work needed to sustain that liquid.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, yeah. Liquid, so to speak. Yeah.
Liquid love?
Yeah. Right.
That sounds kind of
Liquid.
sus.
Liquid love could mean a lot of things, but in this case, it's PG.
We'll have to have like an after dark version of the podcast.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, it's true. I mean, and again, it's just an exhaustive process, and you really are. I remember thinking, like, please, like, just let this be the one. I don't want to have to go through another heartbreak. Please don't let me have to go through another heartbreak. I used to beg for that all the time. And I remember being, even in the good moments, I feel like my intuition always knew there was an ending, that because he just wasn't stepping up in the way that a partner is supposed to step up, right? So we were like, you know, on a vacation together in Hawaii, and I remember just being like, this feels like very temporary, but please don't let this be temporary. Like, please, this is going to hurt so bad. I'm sharing these like wonderful, beautiful memories with this person. And like my intuition was just screaming, because all of it always felt off. I was always like kept a secret. He never, I really don't know what his life was like aside from like hanging out with just him and every once in a while, you know, his kid and whatnot. But still, it was very like, I was this like secret person in his life. And that's kind of the funny thing is, like, my dad also had a secret family. So there's something with the secrecy component. Like, you know, again, you start attracting subconsciously like these people that mirror those behaviors. And like, not to get like in the nitty gritty, but that's like, I just put that together right now. Like, that's crazy that like there are people that operate that way, and you don't want to see it because you're holding on to those little glimmers of the good. And again, it's really important that you listen to yourself first and foremost and trust yourself. And I really feel for women that are going through the thick of it and they don't trust themselves, and they post, and I know like I see it all the time on like the pages, like always asking, and I know we've talked about it in the first episode, I believe, or we might have talked about it just you and I'm not sure. But when you're asking, like, hey, is this odd behavior? You already know. And that's the thing. Your intuition, your higher self is speaking to you. And you're asking for validation from people that don't know. And so you start to dilute your own, you know, nobody... Really, you just have to sit with yourself in those moments and say, why am I feeling like this? And if you go to that person and they make you feel worse, like, oh, you're crazy. Why do you feel like dramatic? You know, this is just like daddy issues, because that's been thrown in my face quite a bit. Then that's your sign. Because a healthy person's not going to say that to you. They'll have a different way of conveying that message, right? And so even then, like, having somebody, like even recently with like one of my guy friends apologizing for something that really wasn't a big deal, but like him saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I crossed a line. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never had somebody do this. And like usually they act defensively, and then my fire sign comes out, and then I act crazy. I don't know how to tame it, and then I start acting all kind of like not making any sense. And then it's true, I do come off as crazy, because you just start, I mean, I'm a human. I see red sometimes, and I just start blabbing and saying crazy stuff, like just, you know. And so when you have somebody healthy, though, they mirror a behavior and you're like, oh, wait, they actually are calming me versus triggering me even more. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those misaligned relationships, and it's misalignment, but also sometimes necessary, because
Yeah.
that's what you need to step into that relationship that you really dream of, right? That
Mm-hmm.
really, the one that very few people get to do, because they decide to stay in the comfort of the, what is that saying? It's like something about like it's easier to stay in familiar. I,
Oh,
oh, it's like
I don't
familiar
remember.
misery than like new. I don't know, but basically, it's more comfortable to stay in something that's familiar, even though it's not really fulfilling, versus just
Mm-hmm.
stepping outside of your comfort zone and dealing with the discomfort that comes from it and the growth. And it's true. Some people just decide to stay in those loops, those unfulfilling relationships, the people that they know intuitively aren't right,
I
and
think
they,
most people are in
yeah,
relationships like that
yeah,
because, like, it's. I know for me, a big reason why I stayed in a lot of the relationships I did was because I feared being alone. Like, for most of my life, I had this deep fear of being alone, of ending up alone. Now I'm like so happy to have my alone time. Like, it's like my favorite
yeah,
thing. But, and that's rooted in a uh wound of like not feeling chosen.
right.
My biological dad, like, he left like our family. He decided one day he didn't want a family anymore, and like, also was not available, like I said. So just like that, like, abandonment wounding came through with me being like, okay, I can't be alone. Like, I can't handle being alone. And so I would stay, and a lot longer than I ever should have. And like, yeah, the intuition alarm bells are ringing loud, and it's like you ignore it, and like a lot of the times, like, you're not ready, and it's hard. And like, my last relationship, I should have ended that. Well, first of all, I should have never started that
Right.
relationship, but I shouldn't have let it get to the severity that it did. Uh, for like that to be the point where I was like, oh, this is really not working for me. And but it's like I've always said, like, I am a very intelligent woman. I'm educated. I have my degree. I have a career. I have all of these things, right? That I should have known. I should have seen the signs. Um, and just like for information, I was in like a domestic violence situation. And so it's like I knew all of the things that they tell us our whole
Oh
lives as we're
yeah.
growing up. Like, if he does this, like, that's a sign that it's gonna get worse, and like, you should do that. If he is, physical with you at any point, like, it's not gonna stop. Like, and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't, like, it's not funny. We laugh through our trauma
Yeah,
here,
I
but
know.
like, and I think that there's some healing in that. But
There
it's
is.
like it got to the point where he was literally said the like classic domestic violence line of like, well, I wouldn't hit you if you didn't like act like that or something.
Oh
And I like
jeez.
was like I in the moment started laughing. And I looked
Right.
at him, I was like, do you hear yourself right now? Like, do you literally, like, that's like the templated form, like,
Right.
that's like
Textbook.
textbook.
Yeah.
And so, and I was still in it, and
Yeah.
like I like wasn't, I wasn't ready. And like, it's hard when you're not ready, because it's so scary, because the unknown is so
Oh
scary.
yeah.
And
It's
like,
terrifying.
losing everybody in your life is like losing your life, even if it's completely destructive for you,
Mm-hmm.
is so scary. But like, it's so much better. And I've almost been out, I'm like a month short of a year, and my life has improved like every single month since I left. And it's like compounded improvement. And like, it's just really choosing myself and knowing that I deserve better and more, and I deserve to have love in my life, whether it's platonic or romantic, that mirrors the level of love that I give out into the world. Like, and like, just coming home to myself and being like, there's got to be better than this.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to remember that if you desire something, it's inevitable. Because it's scary when you're constantly hearing the dating pool sucks, you're not going to find somebody. You can't feed into that narrative because desire, even if it's not romantic, but because we're focused on relationships right now, that relationship is for you. It's coming. And when you learn that lesson, imagine how good it's going to be. So like, I know a relationship's coming, you know it is,
Yeah.
but we don't get to know when.
No.
And
Or who.
and sometimes you, in those moments of like being human, you're like, what if everyone is right? But I mean, my higher self knows, just in the same way that my higher self knew that those other men were not right for me, my higher self also knows that that person is coming for me,
Right.
or coming towards me and coming for me. I mean,
We're back to
we're back to what did you say?
It's
though?
okay, I'll check the explicit box. We'll be fine.
So yeah, coming towards me eventually. Never mind. Anyway, so all that to say, like, don't fall into the narrative that it's impossible to find somebody, and like really true. These good relationships are only rare because doing this, what we're doing right now, we're just truly focusing on yourself, is also rare. It's not easy all the time.
Right.
And like for me, I was, and you as well, we were relationship hoppers. Like this is the most I've been without anybody, and it's been 3 months. And for me, that feels so long. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like 3 months, no prospects. I'm not really looking either, but I mean, I did like download the dating app, and then I was like, oh my God, ew. I mean, sorry, no offense, but it's true. Like, that's just
scary.
It's scary out there. And then when you're seeing a bunch of like things that mirror that fear of not finding somebody, you start to feed into that narrative again. And I refuse. And it's not a delusion. I know that there's somebody out there for both of us. There's somebody out there for anybody who's desiring a healthy relationship. But the key is learning your lessons and also stepping out of your comfort zone. And really, again, we're going to tie back living a life of alignment. So doing the things that you like to do, stepping outside of your norm, and really just growing. And part of growing is also doing the things that you love and finding joy in life, right? It's not just like sitting there and like kumbaya. It's like actually going out and living. Like,
Yeah, live your life.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and it's just like, yeah, focusing on yourself and building a life. Not the person's gonna meet you when the timing is right, when it's divine timing. It's like one of my favorite things, but also frustrating because there's no control with divine timing.
Like, tell me when.
Yeah. Can I have like an exact like play-by-play of how this is gonna
Or
like
even
work out?
like 3-month window.
Yeah, like a window,
Yeah.
like anything. But like the more you pour into yourself so that you can be a whole person, you will meet another whole person, and you will just amplify each other's lives, and it'll be not easy in the sense that like everything's easy breezy,
Right.
because any relationship takes work, and like any connection in your life, whether it's romantic, platonic, business, anything like that, takes work to maintain a healthy connection. But it'll flow in a way that you're just haven't experienced before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's just, I mean, it's a matter of time and leaning into trust and letting go of control. And again, those are all things that we as humans just don't like to do. But
Yeah. It's kind of annoying sometimes.
it's really annoying sometimes. But then also, when you let go of those relationships, those unhealthy dynamics, you tend to find people that are more aligned, even if it's not romantically, like it just like friendships, like how you and I found each other.
Yeah.
And then you'll see other ones kind of dissolve, and not in a way that's chaotic, but they just fall through the wayside because, there's some lack of alignment there.
Yeah, it's just not aligned anymore.
Yeah. And you just surrender and keep putting, how as we always say, one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
and then the path slowly becomes a bit more clear. So you'll find your people the more that you really start to listen to yourself. And by your people, it's not always your romantic person right away, but it still helps you get through life and really get through those hard times where you start to doubt yourself, because that's part of human nature as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm great, he's coming tomorrow. Like sometimes I do, and then sometimes I'm like, never, I'm just gonna die alone. But I know deep down that's not true.
Yeah. But we're also human, so.
Right. And also sometimes
flows.
I just want, like, it's hard to like you just want someone to cuddle with and like
just do life with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially like when you've experienced that too.
Yeah.
Like you've had a marriage or you've had a long-term relationship, even if it wasn't aligned or even if the person was kind of shitty. Like you still like having that kind of like stability in your life of a person who's kind of like always there is nice, but it's better when like if they're not aligned or if they're doing the opposite of like they're making your life worse and more chaotic and everything, like it's not worth the stability.
Right.
And I think we're both kind of like getting more comfortable like being alone and like that was a really hard thing for me to get comfortable with, but it's really improved just my relationship with myself. And so that tells me that I know I'll be able to be a better romantic partner for somebody else. Same. Because I have a good healthy relationship with myself first.
Yeah, same. Yeah, this is the first time in my life that I've been in this position, so where I really feel like I'm whole.
Right.
And really doing things for me and not just, to look a certain way or, people please and all that good stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
it's a whole other episode,
right? But all this to say, like, again, the more you hang on to these relationships that are not for you and relationship hop and whatnot, the more you block what's really, truly, like, what you truly deserve. Mm-hmm. And yes, you contracted these relationships and you're meant to learn something, but you don't have to stay in that learning period. You have control over when that is.
Yeah.
And that's something that you do. Like, again, we like control, so know that you have control over that, and you can choose to step away and just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And go for it. And there are people that will carry you through or help carry you through it.
Yeah. And it hurts a little bit at first when you rip the Band-Aid off, but then it starts to heal and then you're good.
Yeah. And you pick the scab every now and then and it bleeds, but it's fine.
But it's fine because, it's still healing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. I will be back next week and for some more juicy stuff. I don't know.
Juicy deets.
Juicy deets. What is it that you said? Water love? I don't know.
Liquid love.
Liquid love. That's right. Anyway.
We'll be throwing some more liquid love at you next week.
That's right. All right. Well, see you guys next week. Thanks
See
for listening.
Ya. Thanks.